Blessings and welcome to today's Law Enforcement Daily Devotional. Today we're in Ezekiel chapters 15 through 17. And I hope you're able to get these read ahead of time. Not much law enforcement takeaway. As we've seen going through Ezekiel, God gives Ezekiel lots of visions, and he tells Ezekiel to go out and perform different things. And today's no different. God he tells us some allegories. The first one, Israel is like a newborn infant who was born and just cast aside and unwanted, unloved. And God takes Israel and raises Israel, cleans Israel up, gives Israel provision. He compares Israel to a bride, basically. He takes Israel as his bride, his chosen, and we know Israel was chosen people. But then we read about just how Israel rebels against God, against all the desires God has for Israel. He wanted Israel to be a nation of priests, to go out and just populate the world with his image and his rule. And he wanted this set of people to do it. And this group of people went from having every opportunity, because God had just lavished everything he could on them, and they turned and, like a spoiled rotten brat, did the exact opposite. And instead of being the greatest people of the earth, which they could have been, God says they're the lowest of the low. Sodom and Gomorrah looks righteous next to Israel. That Israel's rebellion and the things they did, they were just, it disgusts. I don't want to say it disgusts God. I don't think those words were used, but God was just so, you know how a parent gets disappointed in a child when they just don't do what they're supposed to. Very much disappointed seems to be what God felt. Then he tells a parable in chapter 17, which I thought was really cool, because Jesus told a lot of parables, and it sounds like a parable that Jesus would tell, which Jesus is God, so it makes sense that these would line up and look just like each other in the way they're told. But I just thought that was really cool how that was in here, that he told a parable instead of a story, or having Ezekiel do something or seeing an image of just an incredible creature. He stops in 17 and tells a parable, which is reminds us, or we recognize Christ in that, and I think that's cool. In all that God does, Israel is just never worthy. They can never live up, and they have so much rebellion. And at the end of this today, I was like, man, that's kind of like how I was at one point in my life. But God, he tells them in 17 that no matter what they did at the very end, he still showed them grace and compassion and mercy. I mean, just no matter how bad they got, and they got really bad, God says, I'm still going to take you back. And he does that for us. No matter how bad it gets, God will give us another chance, and he'll take us back. So if you need that second or third or fourth chance today, realize it's not too late, that it's okay. Or you may not need that fifth chance, but you may know somebody who does, and tell them, man, God's still there. He's still willing to reach out and give you a hand and bring you back to the family, or bring you into the family. So just a good takeaway today. Tomorrow we're in Ezekiel chapters 18, 19, and 20. Ought to be another fun read, man. I mean, Ezekiel is just chocked with cool stuff, and I won't keep going on, but I'll see you back here tomorrow. We'll look for law enforcement takeaway if there is one. But in the meantime, you guys be safe.